stretched out, but noticing what feels interesting in your body in terms of a seat this morning. And then taking a moment, you may let your eyes close if that's feeling comfortable this morning to just kind of notice your seat, and you might rock your pelvis a little bit side to side, front to back. Let your head move from side to side. Kind of feeling into those movements that will help your body come into the seat this morning. We might be just waking up, and so those might also just kind of be those waking up movements that we're taking. And feel free to explore movement as long as you want to. We'll start this morning just with a little bit of a breath practice to bring us into our breath a little bit more, connecting into the rhythm and the pulsation of our physical bodies this morning. And so knowing, and I've said this before with these practices, that sometimes, particularly now, closing the eyes is actually really distracting. It kind of activates our mind, activates our nervous system. So if you're finding that through any of the practices, you have the eyes closed and your mind starts to get really busy, consider opening your eyes and just looking down at the floor, down at your lap. It'll give your mind kind of enough to focus in on that you're able to then let your nervous system and your mind settle just a little bit. So we'll take a couple of deep breaths and just start to notice our breath this morning. One of my teachers likes to use the imagery of the breath like snowflakes, which I really appreciate. It's kind of like if you take a step back and look at breathing, each breath looks relatively similar. We're inhaling, we're exhaling. It's happening all the time, every day. But just like with snowflakes, if you really dial down and look at that snowflake or look at that breath, you'll notice that from breath to breath, from hour to hour, minute to minute, that the breath is different. They actually find that through the course of the day, you'll more predominantly breathe through one side of your nose and then the other. Through different parts of the day, your inhale might be longer, your exhale might be longer. So there's really an opportunity just to notice the breath each time we sit down as a way of coming into our practice and being present. So if you can, starting to take that kind of curiosity microscope to your breath this morning and beginning to look at each breath. This isn't about judging our breath at all, but simply observing our breath and noticing from breath to breath what the breath is looking like this morning. Being curious about how the breath is flowing in and out of your body. And we might notice that through that curiosity, through that attention, that our breath starts to change a little bit. So also observing the effects of merely bringing our focus to our breath and how our breath might change as a result. Now, if we can, and we will do this without creating any strain or struggle with the breath. So it's something that will happen kind of gradually over time. It's not something that we have to flip on or flip off like a light switch. We'll start to bring our attention to the actual length of the inhale and the exhale and see if over the course of the next several breaths, we could make our inhalation and our exhalation the same length. So we might actually use a count to help us find that. For me, usually around the count of 4 works pretty well. So over the next couple of breaths, could our inhalation become a count of 4 and our exhalation become a count of 4? And again, it doesn't have to happen immediately, and it might take a little bit of controlling the breath on one side or the other, noticing how we might have to either kind of slow down the breath as it moves out or speed up the breath as it moves out in order to make the breaths a little bit more even without creating any kind of gasping or straining on either side of the breath. Now we'll start to find the in between points. So at the top and the bottom of the breath, there's always kind of a natural pause. But now we'll start to extend that pause out. And if possible, we'll make our pauses as long as our actual breath counts. If we find that holding the breath in or out for that long of a period of time feels like too much, then we might half those pauses. So, in the example of a 4-4 inhale, exhale, we would inhale 4, hold the breath in for 4, exhale 4, and then hold the breath out for 4. Or again, if we feel like that's too much, we might inhale 4, pause 2, exhale 4, pause 2. But if we can, working toward what we call a square breath. So finding that kind of first side of the square as we inhale, breath moves in, holding, then that next side of the square for 4 count. Making the next side of the square as we exhale for the 4 count. And holding our breath out for the 4 count as we complete the square. And so continuing with your breath like that, with any breath practice, as we start to add on more pieces, there's more of a chance of getting lightheaded or finding a little bit of strain in the breath. And if that starts to happen, we might either back off with our counts or just let go of the breath practice completely, coming back maybe just to a matched inhale to exhale. Let's take one more round of breath, creating that square one last time. You're in the middle of the round, complete that round, and then do one more full round. And then once you complete the last round, take a moment just to pause, letting go of trying to shape the breath in any way, and simply just notice your breath now. Notice that kind of uninhibited breath and how your breath may feel different or the same after a pranayama practice. With your next breath or two, if your eyes are closed, let the eyes start to open, or if your gaze is dropped, let your gaze start to lift up. From here, we'll take a moment to unwind our seat, stretching our legs out. If you are kneeling, you might need to change the padding that you're working with. And what we'll do is we'll stretch our legs out into a V shape. So just taking a moment to extend out through the legs, we might point and flex our feet a couple of times, circle out through the ankles, just kind of bringing some aliveness now to the physical body after being with our breath. And then after we find a little bit of movement there, we'll flex the feet, activating the back of the legs. And we'll take an inhalation, bringing the left hand to the floor. We'll stretch our right arm up and over, and I'll be a mirror. On your next inhale, coming up through center. And then as you exhale, bring the right hand to the floor, left arm up and over. And we'll do this a couple times, side to side, moving with your breath. So you might be moving a little bit faster or slower than me, depending on how your breath is traveling in your body this morning. Do one more each direction. And then the next time we inhale up through center, we'll exhale, take the left hand to the floor, right arm alongside the ear. You might still be arriving there. And then we'll let our right arm circle down, coming just kind of inside of our left leg, and take a big circle sweep of our arm up and around and back behind us. Exhale as you bring the arm forward and down, and then big circle up and around. Now we'll pause here with the arm alongside the ear. You could stay here with the hand on the floor outside of the leg. That might feel a little more supportive to the back today. Or you can bring your hand onto your leg, even walking your hand out a little bit further if you want to. Take a deep breath into your right side waist, just kind of noticing, okay, how's my breath moving in my body now that I'm changing the shape of my body this morning? We'll take our inhale, bring ourselves back up. As we come up, we'll bring our right leg in so that the sole of the right foot comes to the inside of the left thigh. If you need to take a block or anything to support this knee, please do. Or if this isn't working for your knee today, you can also have your foot on the floor with your knee bent up toward the ceiling. Now we'll bring our hands to frame the left leg, so either side of the thigh. Roll the shoulders down the back, get a little bit taller through your spine, and then start to walk yourself forward. And it might be that you just move forward and you're framing the left knee. You might be framing the calf or even reaching for the foot. The main thing we want to be sure of is, can there be space between my shoulders and my ears? Can there be a little bit of softness in my neck, in my jaw? And then we might notice, could the chin draw in just slightly, feeling a little softening around the eyes. We don't ever want to be in a pose and feel like our eyes are kind of pushing out of our skull. And with our next inhalation, we'll walk ourselves up. So we come up, we'll come across our body, now bringing our left hand across to our right knee or our right calf or even our right ankle. Start to walk the right hand behind you as you twist toward your bent knee side. As we take that rotation, we'll continue to flex the left foot. And as we let our right shoulder continue to rotate back, we'll unwind our head so our chin is looking out over, and our gaze is looking out over our left shoulder. From here, you can tip your left ear down toward the shoulder, your right ear up toward the ceiling. You might take a little nod of your head or yawn or open and close your mouth, feeling into the connection between the jaw, the neck, the shoulder. We'll take one more inhale here. As we exhale, we'll let our chin roll toward our chest. Invite yourself to unwind. As you unwind, we'll bring the right leg out, coming back to our V shape. Taking a moment here, we'll go back to our side-to-side movement so that left hand comes to the floor, right arm stretches alongside the ear. Push the floor away, come up through center, and then over to the second side. And we'll do that just one more time each side. Coming up through center, left hand to the floor, right arm alongside the ear. Back up through center, and now we'll pause this time as we land the right hand on the floor, left arm alongside the ear. Reach out through the fingertips, take an inhale. And then as you exhale, take that big circle of your arm forward and down. Big circle sweep of the arm up and around. And big circle forward and down. We'll do that one more time, moving with your breath. Freeing up the space around the shoulder a little bit this morning. And we'll take our left arm alongside our ear. And again, we can stay here with our hand outside of our leg if that feels a little more supportive, or bring our hand onto our leg, even choosing to slide down the leg a little bit further if we want to. Again, just listening to how our body feels best supported today. With our next inhale, we'll push the floor away, bring ourselves up. As we do, we'll grab our left leg. Bring the left leg in, sole of the foot to the inside of the thigh, adjusting your seat, supporting your knee as you need to. Bring your hands to frame your leg. Roll the shoulders down the back as you turn to face the right foot, flex the right foot, and then start to walk your hands out. And again, it may just be that we come forward a couple inches. This isn't about getting to anywhere in particular. is more about exploring where can I feel my breath. And in particular, perhaps you could feel your breath in the back of your body. So noticing your breath underneath your shoulder blades, noticing your breath as it fills up the back of your lungs. You may notice your breath in your low back. And as you notice your breath in your low back, you might start to find, I can soften forward just another inch or two. As we take our next inhalation, we'll walk ourselves back up, taking the turn across the body. Right hand comes to the knee, the calf, the ankle as we walk our left hand back behind us, beginning that rotation through our left shoulder. Roll the left shoulder down the back, invite your spine to get a little bit taller as you twist. And then as we let our left shoulder continue to rotate back, we'll flex our right foot and then start to turn our gaze to look out toward our right toes. As we look toward our right toes, we'll tip our right ear down, our left ear up, exploring some movement on this side. Nod your head, yawn, open and close your mouth. Again, just being curious about movement, about connection between jaw, neck, and shoulder, all those places that we tend to hold tension, or at least I tend to hold tension habitually in our bodies. We'll take one more inhale as we exhale, letting our chin roll toward our chest. As our chin rolls toward our chest, unwinding the twist. Last time, we'll pick our left leg up now, stretch it back out so both legs are extended in the V shape. And we might have to adjust our seat just a little bit. And this time, as long as it feels okay for the legs, flexing both feet, we'll bring our hands in front of us and we'll start to tip forward. And again, it may just be that we go forward a couple of inches. It's not about getting anywhere close to the floor. It's just about exploring interesting sensation connected to breath. As we take that little tip forward, let your chin draw in slightly. See if your spine can get a little bit longer. Notice the anchor points of your two sit bones pressing down and back toward the floor behind you. And then again, taking a couple breaths into the back of the body, and each time you exhale, inviting the shoulders to soften away from the ears. Let's use our next inhalation, bring ourselves back up. As we come up, we can grab the back of the legs, bringing the legs in. We'll move to comfortable cross-legged seat if that works for you this morning. If it doesn't, then finding whatever seat does. We'll bring our hands onto our knees or our thighs, depending on our seat. And as we take our next inhale, we'll push into our hands and start to tip our chest and our chin up toward the ceiling. So finding something like cow pose, but in our seat. And then as we exhale, we'll start to round our back, curl our chin in, letting ourselves come into kind of a seated cat pose. On your inhalation, tipping your heart up, tipping your chin up, inviting shoulders to soften down the back. And exhale as you round your back into that little cat. Let's do that a couple more times. You might close your eyes here, noticing kind of that wave-like movement along your spine. We'll do that one more time. And then with our inhalation, we'll bring ourselves to neutral. As we come to neutral, we'll now start to circle our torso over to the left and forward and over to the right and back. So now we're drawing a big circle with our upper body as we rotate around, noticing our spine. And this movement could be bigger or smaller. I've got a little bit in the front that keeps me from going very far forward, but you might be going a little bit further forward if that feels interesting. Or your movements might be smaller than mine, and that's fine too. And the next time we come forward, we'll reverse the direction of the circle. Again, just feeling into that movement, that undulation, that kind of stirring of the spine and the internal organs. One more big circle. then we'll bring ourselves back up. Shoulders stack over the hips. Take a couple big rolls out through your shoulders. And so now that we've prepared our breath and our bodies a little bit, we'll come to our meditation. So finding a seat, knowing that we'll be here for about 10 minutes. I'm going to return back to kneeling just because that's really working for me this morning, but you might find that you want to stay with a cross-legged seat. You might have a different seat that you like for meditation. And also knowing sometimes too, especially right now, we might be feeling a little bit more tired. And so you can also meditate lying down. There's nothing wrong with that. Just making sure that it's not so comfortable that we fall asleep. So find that seat or find that reclining position that feels right for your body this morning. Just like we did at the beginning, noticing some little movements in the pelvis. We might roll out through our shoulders a couple of times, move our head from side to side. Feeling into those movements so that we can really kind of settle the body a little bit before, excuse me, before we come into our seats. And again, noticing, does it feel better to close the eyes or does it feel better to drop the gaze? And giving yourself permission to even change between the two during the practice as we need to. Okay, so start by moving from that physical body awareness, letting go of movement as you feel ready. Dropping your awareness now into your breath, taking a couple of deep breaths, and once again connecting to your breath, noticing kind of with that eye to the idea of the snowflakes of the breath. Be curious about your breath now, each individual breath, how it might be a little bit different from the first. And then as we move from kind of the grosser movements of the physical body into the slightly more subtle movements of the breath, could you attune your awareness to the subtlety of the beating of the heart? And we might not be able to actually feel the beating of the heart, but perhaps we could attune ourselves to the subtle rhythm of that internal beat, that internal pulsation inside of our bodies. And it might be that as we start to pay a little bit more attention, that we start to feel that pulsation elsewhere in our bodies, not just in the heart, but we may notice that pulsation in our skull or in our fingertips or in our legs. Being curious about that steady rhythm, a pulsation underlying our everyday. It's one that we don't have to think about to make happen. It's just there, happening constantly. Feeling into that pulsation and then starting to visualize from the heart the blood as it pulses out from the heart center. So again, moving into those more subtle rhythms, imagining the little flows, the little rivers of blood as they move out from the heart. You might start to experience a little expansion, a little bit of widening as we bring ourselves into these more subtle rhythms, into the expansive inner world of the physical body. And then imagining as we continue to hold this visualization of the beating heart, with the blood flowing out from the center of the body toward the extremities, toward fingers, toward toes, toward head, that instead of blood in the veins, we start to see light moving just a little bit more subtly into the energetic body. Beginning to notice as we explore these pulsations, this movement of light through our body, are there any sensations that we can experience? Do we notice any kind of tingling or change in temperature or different sensation as we explore this visualization? And noticing as we continue to explore that while the heart and the veins and the arteries are parts of the physical body, are contained within the walls of our physical body, that this light isn't. And so, as we see this light traveling through our bodies, we might start to see it expanding outward from our bodies as if it could kind of push out through all of the pores of our skin. Again, we might begin to notice a sense of expansiveness, of spaciousness that's not always there when we're just connecting to our physical body. We'll rest inside this spaciousness for the next couple of minutes in quiet. Take a few breaths, let your breath deepen, bringing yourself back to the level of your breath. If If you like, bringing your hands up to your heart, feeling that gentle pressure of your thumbs resting against your heart space, bringing your attention back to the physical body. You might take a moment before we close here to set an intention to take with you into your day, letting this kind of see the rest of your day. We offer up the fruits of our practice to the benefit of all beings everywhere, that they may be happy and free from suffering. Loka samasta sukhino bhavantu. Finally, bowing to our own hearts, we acknowledge the light that resides inside each one of us. Namaste.